All right. Good morning, everybody. Sorry for the delay. We have quorum. Welcome to the Buffalo Water Board meeting. Today is Wednesday, July 8th, 2026. It is now 9:15 a.m. We're going to get started. As we do with every meeting, if there are any members of the public, either in person or online, if you would like to speak on any topic, please come off mute or raise your hand in the chat. We will acknowledge you and afford you a few minutes to speak on any topic. I'm going to turn this over to Connor, who's going to go through some housekeeping issues, and then we'll get the meeting started.
Thank you, Mr. Sunderland. Good morning, everyone. This is Connor Banning with GHD. I'd like to wish a warm welcome to everybody joining us for this July Water Board meeting. As a reminder, this meeting will be recorded. To start things off, I'd like to introduce a couple of housekeeping measures. To reduce the amount of background noise, we kindly ask you to stay muted until you're ready to speak. And at the time you're ready to speak, please state your name and affiliation for the record. At this time, I'll begin taking the roll call, starting with the board members. After I say your name, please say here or present. I'd like to start with Bill Sunderland.
Present.
Brian Gould.
Present.
Debbie Lombardo.
Present.
And Bill Hanley.
Present.
Thank you, board. We'll now move on to our regular attendees, starting with Peter Merlot.
Present.
Jack McMahon.
Present.
Fawad Arab. Charlie Martirano.
Present.
Damon Sykes.
Present.
David Hill.
Present.
Doug Foltz.
Present.
Bill Ferguson.
Present.
Stephen Waldvogel.
Present.
Dustin Steiner.
Present.
Matthew Adam.
Present.
Pat Thornton.
Present.
Mike Wallace.
Present.
Jack Mays.
Present.
We have Sean McLaughlin.
Present.
Roger Liss.
Present.
Eric Machen.
Present.
And Ahmad Giwa.
Present.
Yes, board, I'd like to introduce Ahmed real quick. He's joined the Veolia team as the customer service representative manager for Mr. Rand. He's worked on the Long Island project wastewater for many years, 15 years or so. He's worked customer service out of Newark, New Jersey. So we welcome him to the team. He's going to work with Mr. Sykes specifically on metering and looking at a metering program and strategizing on how we can invest in meters and get the most effective return on investment.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll pass it back to Mr. Sunderland.
Okay. Thank you, Connor. All right, board, if you would take a look at the draft agenda that you have in front of you here for any changes, modifications, deletions. Okay, hearing no comments or changes to this, is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Lombardo makes a motion to approve the agenda.
Hambley second. So properly moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great, move on. Approval of the draft meeting minutes from June 10th, 2026. Board, if you will take a look at the draft meeting minutes for any changes or modifications. Okay, any comments regarding the draft meeting minutes, modifications? Okay, is there a motion to approve the June 10th draft meeting minutes?
Hanley make a motion to approve the minutes.
Lombardo, second.
It's been properly moved and second. Hearing no other comments, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Going to move on to item number 3, the public comment period. As I started the meeting off, if there are any members of the public who are either in person, which I don't see any, or online, if you'd like to speak on any topic, please come off mute or raise your hand in the chat. We will acknowledge you and afford you a few minutes to speak on any topic. Connor, do you see anybody? Okay. We're going to move on to item number 4, staffing update. Peter?
Thank you. David and Doug, I don't know if you have the latest in terms of numbers and for our last meeting. I'll turn it over to you.
Yield to Jeff Mace.
Yep, so the numbers for this month haven't changed since the last couple of months. However, I am aware that we are processing 1 clocker and 1 account clerk purchase for distribution. We did meet with the commissioner last week, the staffing steering committee, and we had a great conversation. We're looking at updating 3 rules to see how we can make some changes to them. And ideally, someone from DPW will be attending these meetings going forward to provide a staffing update and accurate numbers for us. So more to come soon.
The account clerk typist, was that a provisional? Did it come off a list or was it just a posting?
So I'm not too sure. I know it's for Mike, so it's
Not on the list.
Provisional.
yeah,
All right.
perfect.
Are they staying with us? They're gonna be in the office next door, but yeah, hopefully they stay with us.
For now.
Yeah. Not many good jobs.
Yep, that's it.
All right, thank you. All right, item number 5, the Clearwell Improvement Project. Mr. Merlot.
Yes, thank you, Bill. Pete Merlo, Secretary of the Board, Principal Engineer, Division of Water. In front of you is a request for an increase to Hazen's contract for a really Clearwell improvement project. This is something that's been budgeted in our bond sale for the amount that you're seeing, and really consists of 3 things, but mostly it's a continuation of our Clearwell study. The first phase is going to be rehabilitation of all the gates and openings to that structure. Our Clearwell houses 30 million gallons of potable treated water. It's basically our belt and suspenders. We are a pump system, but that 30 million gallons supplies that, allows us to take the plant down for work, and gives us some redundancy. So part of the phase 1 is opening these gates. There's going to be a corresponding construction contract coming that will be funded in the next bond sale. That Roger and I were just talking about that timing. We're going to push that for next year. Get my little in on that. And then there is a continuation for a larger Clearwell project where we can look to see how we can increase the baffling. Is there a way dewatering that structure? There's a lot of problems with trying to rehabilitate that structure because it has to be maintained. I can't take it out of service and not have 30 million gallon Clearwell sitting by for 8 months while the construction. So that's part of the phase 2 is how do we improve this? How do we do it most likely in a wet condition with divers? But that's going to be something that's going to be funded in subsequent bond sales. So that's really the first 2. And we also have electrical services that we've been working with from the fluoride project and really through and helping out with the transition to our Mass Ave electrical project. So that's broken down here. Again, this was planned. The reason for the timing is because the bond sale is just completed and now we can move forward. I wanted to make sure we move forward with our other projects. All 8 projects for construction, by the way, have made it through and been approved by council, and we are moving forward and we'll be encumbering those in the next probably month and a half. So that is really excellent, delivering a $65 million program. Oh, it's everybody. Thank you, the whole team here. This is a team effort without a doubt. Any other questions on this? I don't want to expand too much, but this is just an increase. Again, this is really looking to rehabilitate our Clearwell in stages.
Peter, just a quick question. When you say the council approved, is that a capital improvement plan or what did they actually approve?
No, we have 8 construction contracts that we bid.
Oh, so you bid them out already?
Yeah, all 8 were approved by the board, reported bids. We also then went through contract compliance approval. Once contract compliance signs off, we can then go to council for approval. And that has happened for all 8 as of yesterday, which is excellent in terms of timing. So now we can move forward, we can send out notice of awards to the contractors. There's your contract signed and send in bonds and insurances and really execute that contract.
We're done planning. This is the actual engagement of the contractor to do the job.
Yep, and we've already had them bid. We bid these in parallel as the money was coming. So if timing wise, we're gonna have this money encumbered. In fact, Zach from Hawkins asked, what are you gonna do with all this extra money? I'm like, it's already spent, Zach. I need more. Let's go. But that's a good thing. That's what this money's here, deliver these projects.
Peter, is there any contracts that don't have to go to council for approval?
Right now, what we have, the contracts the board has with their consultants are just approved by the board, professional services. That has been maintained. The only reason we have to go for council approval for the construction contracts is because that's the mechanism the board is using to administer those contracts. So it's really an administrative issue, even though I get water board approval as well, because ultimately you're the overseer of those funds.
So I would just add, that is true, but in addition, it's more a function of the financing agreement between the city, the finance authority, and the water board, and the statute that the water board operates under. Requires monies that come out of the bond funds like that for capital improvements, they have to be approved by the city.
But we were able to, professional services, make that distinction, which actually gives the board a little more flexibility in controlling its destiny. So we actually reach out to law, everything is moving, and just, that's kind of where the break is, Brian, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And Charlie, is there a threshold monetarily? I mean, or anything above, below, or does everything have to go?
It has to comply with what is, just like the city would be bidding. So there is a general municipal law provision, basically anything over, I think it's $30,000.
Okay.
And we have always reported the report of bids to council. That is something we've always done.
And that's the way it should be.
Yes. And we just provide a distinction for professional services, and I believe we're in a very good place right now administratively.
Yeah, Brian, just to be clear, the board is the entity that comes up with the money. So you approve the funding for these things, but the actual engagement of the contractor must be done through the city and the common council.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? Okay, is there a motion to approve Hazen change order number 8 for engineering consulting services for the Clearwell Improvement Project for the additional amount of $500,000 to increase the total fee to $2,103,700? Is there a motion to approve?
Hanley make a motion to approve the change order number 8 to Hazen.
Lombardo seconds.
It's been properly moved and second. Hearing no other comments, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to item number 6, the Mass Ave Phase 1 contract extension. Mr. Merlot.
Yes, Peter Merlo, Secretary for the Board, Principal Engineer for the City of Buffalo Division of Water. We're asking for a contract extension. This is the Mass Ave Phase 1 electrical rehabilitation project. We just bid, as I talked, Phase 2. We are encumbering those contracts. That project is valued at $35 million. This Phase 1 project has been delayed really because of our issues on our end. We wanted to make sure that Colonel Ward was in a certain place electrically before we went and took down the transformers. Phase 1 had to be, for the board members that weren't here, Phase 1 and Phase 2 were originally going to be one project. However, with the timing of electrical components, we decided to, and was recommended that we pulled out the transformers, bid those early because that lead time had like a year. So that's how we did the Phase 1, Phase 2. So the Phase 1 contractor, O'Connell, is currently installing those transformers. That work is actually above on Busty. It's the transformers up on top. Mass Ave pump stations down below the Peace Bridge, but both facilities are part of that asset. The good news is O'Connell is a successful contractor for the electrical upgrades in Phase 2. So there will be a smooth transition. And we're asking for a zero cost change order to extend the Phase 1 contract to 6/30/27 to allow them to finish that work and will actually allow a very good bridge between phase 1 and phase 2. The reason it still costs is because it's gonna be extra time for this project, but the inspection under phase 2 will cover that. We're gonna transition right into that one. So those projects will happen at the same time. It's actually, I mentioned this before, very beneficial, I believe, to the board that the same contractor for phase 1 was successful in phase 2. They're already there, they're mobilized, they're gonna go right into and again, those two projects were really intended to be one. So we're just asking to extend that to 6/30/2027.
Board, are there any questions?
Peter, just the, phase 1 is you're asking for an extension, right?
Yes,
Okay.
just for phase 1. At phase 2, right now, we have enough contract time in there. We believe we're good once we sign that contract, but this just allows the completion of the phase 1 piece.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, is there a motion to approve Nussbaumer and Clark for the phase 1 electrical upgrade to be approved to 6/30/2027?
And it's the recommended buy on Nussbaumer, but for the extension of O'Connell's contract.
All right, thank you for that.
I'll make the motion on the recommendation of Nussbaumer to extend O'Connell's contract.
Thank you.
Hanley, second.
It's been properly moved in second. Hearing no other questions, all in favor? Aye. Thank you. All right, we're gonna move on to item number 7, the rate consultant proposal. Peter, is this you or is this?
Well, yeah, I will start it. Again, Pete Merlo, Secretary of the Board, Principal Engineer for the Division of Water. Every year, we obviously work with our rate consultant, Roger, who's here, to look at our rates, look at the predictions. This is something we decided to do on an annual basis, so this will carry us through the year. We're gonna use the existing PO first, and then we'll exhaust this one. So this just gives us enough comfort to make sure we have the ability to pay Roger here for all his services.
And Roger, thank you for all that you did, especially in the last year with that transition coming through in the bond sale. We really appreciate you coming on board so quickly and helping.
Yeah, you stepped right up.
Yeah, and I appreciate you asking me back. Actually, I've really had a great relationship now with Stephen. He's really been very helpful. We sort of put in my first section, I sort of did an A, B, and C, sort of just to use, the rest of it's all the verbiage that's required based on the finance agreement and city laws and things. But just to make sure that you know what I'm going to be helping with, I've already reached out to Bill Ferguson. So we want to get the ball rolling and make sure that we have some really good numbers for you for the August board meeting so that we can go forward and then hopefully have a bond sale in the spring.
Yes.
So this includes my services for just being a rate consultant. And then the very last paragraph, I have an amount for if we do another bond sale, which is usually paid for by the bond proceeds. So I have that in there also.
Yeah, I can see that. That's the 15,000?
15, yes.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, for the purpose of this, we'll do the PO for the 32, I think the 32.5, and then we'll have that in there when the bond sale happens. We already have a number for it, so that
Right.
works well.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, is there a motion to approve R.A. Mercer and Company as our rate consultant for the period of July 1, 2026 through June 30th, 2027, in the amount not to exceed $32,500 for the duties that are provided?
Yeah, Hanley, make a motion to approve the, rate consultant.
Lombardo, second.
It's been properly moved in second. Hearing no other questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, we're gonna move on to item number 8, the PAAA compliance. Charlie?
Oh, good morning, everyone. You have before you the, every year, this is the mission statement and performance measurements. Every year, the board is required to review its mission statement and take a look at its performance goals. And so this is a 2-page, easy way to do it, but there is, I think, Brian Gould has suggested that we reconsider the text of the mission statement. Brian, you want to address that?
Yeah, 'cause I just was looking at this last evening and just to make it more current. You know, I know that this has been something that has to be done, Charlie, but it's been, I think, the same language for quite some time. And not only the mission statement, maybe just revise that a bit. And sometimes there's two forms of a mission statement. You know, there's a public kind of facing one that you use more informally for collateral materials, website, et cetera. And then there's one that's more formal for reporting, you know, reasons like the CAPRA report or, you know, the ABO office or other regulatory, you know, agencies we have to report to. So, and then just, you know, I took a stab at that and I sent it to, you know, Charlie and Peter and Stephen this morning. And then just have a thought on some of the performance goals as well. So I'm not sure, Charlie, I just asked Stephen this, if we have time that this can be revised a little bit.
Sure, you can defer this particular part of it and consider it at next month, so.
Oh, yeah.
Sir, we can circulate the text that you proposed or want to address otherwise.
Yeah.
And then.
If there's any input from other board members, yeah.
For the next meeting.
Yeah.
If that's all right with the board.
Okay.
Okay.
So do we need to table this section of it, or do we do the rest of the?
Right, the components are really what you have before you by way of a mission statement and the analysis of whether you performed in accordance with the goals that are set forth here. So if we want to change what these are for Brian's suggestion, that can certainly be done and then discussed in August. And if you even need more time, you could do it into September. So
I'm gonna make a motion to table this
Sure.
to the next meeting so we can review the draft changes.
That's
for the whole
fine.
board.
Yeah.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, it's been properly moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
So the other piece is whether you want to go to the next item, Bill. It's,
The elections of officers.
right, you could do that now, or you could do it
Let's do that now.
if you're ready.
Yeah. So the so they sent me the kind of what we did last year. So pursuant to the mayoral appointment, as authorized by law, the chair of the Buffalo Water Board will be Brian Gould. Is there and then is the vice chair, is there a nomination for William Sunderland as vice chair?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to appoint William Sunderland as vice chair for Buffalo Water Board.
Second that motion.
It's been properly moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then as far as the, so I'm probably a little out of order here. As far as the secretary and Peter, no one could ever forget you, ever.
He's waiting in the wings.
I know, he's been campaigning for 6 months for this. Is there, is the secretary and FOIL officer for the Buffalo Water Board, is there a nomination for Peter Merlot?
I'll nominate Peter Merlot for secretary.
Second that motion.
Okay, it's been properly moved in second. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
As the, and then nomination as Jack McMahon as the Assistant Secretary to the Buffalo Water Board. Is there a motion to approve?
Yeah, they make a motion to approve Jack McMahon as assistant secretary.
Lombardo will second that motion.
It's been properly moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
And then, as we discussed, as far as the committees go,
Excuse me, just to note, the chief fiscal officer or otherwise treasurer is technically by law the controller of the city. So nothing to do there, but you do have a person.
okay, thank you, Charlie.
Thank you.
And then our committees, we have the governance committee and the audit committee. And I think as we've discussed previously, that these committees haven't met separately. So the suggestion was the board as a whole will, there are items that come up regarding either of these things, the Board of the Whole will address them. Brian Gould, as the chair of the board, will be the chairman of these committees, and the board will address them as they come along. So, anything else, Charlie?
Should do a vote just to
Right.
confirm that.
So is there a motion to approve the board as a whole for the governance and audit committee? And
Yeah, Haley, make a motion to approve the board as a whole for the, for compliance for committee,
audit and governance?
audit and good government.
Yep.
Lombardo, second.
It's been properly moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Anything else, Charlie?
No, that's it. Thank you.
All right, thanks. All right, so we did the committees. Okay, the resolution for EFC, is this Peter or Stephen?
Stephen.
Sure. So before you is I believe, a proposed resolution for your consideration. Some 3 years ago, the board made application to the state revolving fund for a lead service line replacement project on the order of amount of $11.5 million. It's in the kind of northern east side University District. It was a project that consisted of known lead service lines. That was a requirement of the state revolving fund. It is being funded through the bipartisan infrastructure legislation, which was changed to the IIJA funding. Originally, the state awarded the board a $8 and some odd million grant and $3 and some odd million loan, totaling the $11.5 million. Subsequently, New York State, under its LIFT program, has purchased the loan portion of the package from EFC and offering a grant to the board for that. This is, an award letter was received and executed by the former chairman in 2024. So now the next step that the EFC requires is a financing application. So the resolution in front of you authorizes the submission of this application. It gives the chairman and the vice chair authority to sign and execute documents. I also understand there is a partner resolution that the finance authority will pass. So this is the resolution of the board. Charlie, I don't know if there's any, we did receive assistance from bond counsel on this as they put that together, and then I know Charlie contributed as well.
I would just add, this board in May already adopted a resolution, number one, declaring itself the lead agency under the State Environmental Quality Review Act with regard to the replacement of old lead lines and the financing that is contemplated here with EFC. The second part to that was it already authorized the board to go ahead and make whatever applications might be available for whatever funds might be available. This resolution, as suggested by the bond council, is more focused on the Bailey Kensington neighborhood area and specifically identifies 650 lead service lines as part of that particular project. So we've gone from a more general resolution to a more specific one here, but this is really in an effort to address some concerns or focus that the EFC funding would ask for.
Yeah.
And so the essence of this, though, in the end is you are authorizing the chairman and other officers to go ahead and make those applications, file them, and you are also agreeing that you might pay certain expenditures in connection with the program that we're laying out here, and that they will be ultimately reimbursed by bonds that might be available. So there is an unspecific amount that you are agreeing. Of course, you will then know what that amount will be later on. But generally stated, you are agreeing to front, if you will, some funding for the lead line replacement program, which, if I understand correctly, you've been doing all along anyway. So, and the bond council has helpfully focused some of the references here to the financing agreement that exists between the board, the authority, and the city. And I would encourage you or recommend that you approve this resolution.
Board, are there any other questions regarding this resolution?
Just the one I've asked before, does this include, can we get smart meters included? It's a good time to get some smart meters installed. We're gonna look into whether the grant will cover these smart meters or not.
Our plan at this point is to bid the project with meters.
Thank you.
But Stephen, if they didn't include the meters in that, I think what Bill's alluding to is that
We have that in the project.
We could-
That was included
we could pay
originally.
for the meters, and while they're there,
Yeah,
we could just have them installed.
yeah, we could add a bid item that is not funded by the grant,
Right.
yes.
Yes.
However, no, with the cost of the meters was included in the original application. So I don't think there should be any problem with that.
Well, is there a difference in cost? I don't know, Mike might know this, between just a regular meter and a smart meter.
We don't buy
No,
smart meters.
Oh, okay, then that makes it easy. All right.
And the only risk is if you were to fund that from water board resources, you would have to take those from reserves, not bond funds, so it would hit, you gotta be cognizant of that because it's gonna hit your cash right away. That's why we're hoping that these grants had a zero investment from the board. Because where do you get that money? And that is yet to be identified yet.
the good news,
It's
the good
cash
news
in the door
is
right
the
away,
answer
too.
is
Yeah,
yes.
It's
yeah,
out the door, but it gets it in the door.
it does too.
All right, thank you.
So it's worth supporting.
All right, so is there a motion to approve the resolution for the lead line replacement under the EFC program?
Yeah, I'll make a motion, Sarah, to approve the, go ahead with the grant application process. This is a resolution for the grant application.
Well, no, the grant application's been approved. This is the
Well,
next.
Part of the, is it part of the funding application?
It's
The resolution actually reads, resolution of the board authorizing the submission of one or more grant applications in connection. So EFC calls this the financing application. That's their title. This is just the paperwork now to arrange the financing. It's the second step. So there was an original grant application. Now there is a financing application in their terminology. So I would just adopt the resolution as presented by bond counsel.
All right, and I'll make a motion to approve the resolution as approved by our bond council.
Lombardo will second.
been properly moved in second. Hearing no other comments. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. All right, we're gonna move on to item number 12, limit accounts. Doug?
Good morning, Board. Doug Foltz, Veolia Operations. If you reference page 15 of the monthly board report for June, gives you a summary of contractor 16's finances with respect to the limit accounts. I just want to touch on a few things real quick. Vehicles, it does show we're at 115% of allocation, but that is a rolling accrual. So while we're over on the year, we are below on the rolling accrual. So Mike and I do owe you information on where we stand with that. We'll provide that to you. All other limit accounts are below the allocation for contractor 16. We did close the books on invoices work for contractor 16 on May 31st to ensure that we were below that previous approval. Are there any questions on status for contractor 16 before I move to the limit account memos? Connor, do you pull up the funding request memos? We do have two funding request memos for your consideration. First one is specialty maintenance. The spend for contractor 16 was 1.795 million. Per previous discussion, we wanted to target a 75% allocation, or 75% request for contractor 17. I want to note that with some of the rounding formulas we had in our spreadsheets, it's actually closer to 83. We are requesting for specialty maintenance 1,350,000. That will bring us to what we think is 83% of contractor 16's budget. That will bring the total allocation to $1,503,152.76. There's a specialty maintenance trend just to make the visuals a little bit easier to see kind of where we are and where we're trending. So that does put us below the trend line.
Let's do a second one too. We're gonna approve them as one.
No problem. Second memo for your consideration is for high priority repairs and lead service line replacements. Contractor 16's total as of May 31st was $6,688,457. We are requesting $5 million increase for contractor 17. That will bring the total allocation at this point for contractor 17 to $5,604,275.05.
Okay, board, are there any questions regarding these limit account increases that we're funding for the next fiscal year? All right, is there a motion? We'll do these as one. Is there a motion to approve the specialty preventative maintenance services contract year 17, increased amount of $1,350,000, bringing the total allocation to $1,503,152.72. The second, part B, is the high priority repairs and lead service lines for contract year 17. The increase would be $5 million, bringing the total to $5,604,275.05. Is there a motion to approve?
Hanley, make a motion to approve the special preventative maintenance service and the high priority service and lead services as stated.
Lombardo, second.
It's been properly moved and second. Hearing no other comments, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. And Doug, obviously, as we move on through the year, you will give us updates so we know where we're going to be if we need to do something later in the year.
That's perfect.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Gordon.
Let's move on to item 13, monthly report from GHD. Stephen?
Yes, Stephen Waldvogel, GHD. Nice to see you all again today. Beautiful day on the shores of Lake Erie. We've been busy as usual. I'll mention just a couple things. Glad to see Roger here today. Been working closely with Roger to get the rate consultant locked down and make sure that we're preparing well as we move into this new year. And our plan collectively is to closely analyze the results of last year and bring forward a report for your consideration at next month's meeting. There was some debate, discussion around the estimate on a proposed rate increase that was developed back in early 26 in January, February. The good news is that you're in a much stronger financial position where we stand today compared to then. You have received over $9.5 million of bond funds that have been contributed to your reserves, and your collection policies adopted late last year, early this year have borne fruit as Veolia and Mike and his crews have executed on those policies. And what was looking to be a $6 million shortfall in January turned into almost $1 million surplus on revenues. So that's good news, but we want to take those results into a more comprehensive analysis, and then Roger can weigh in on rates and what the rest of the year might look like. So great news. But more discussion to follow next month is what I would suggest. Also working behind the scenes on a strategy for the lead program. One of the legs of that program, or one of the initiatives you've approved, we're going to continue moving forward on seeking outside funding, because as you know, you really don't have sufficient funds for the entire program of replacing all the lines. It is a great concern. And so we're working closely with the chairman, Peter, and Veolia and ultimately the administration to develop a strategy. We have done some analysis, which I can give you a sneak peek right now. The population in the city of Buffalo peaked at about 600,000 in and around 1950. Through the first, 50 years of the past century, Buffalo's population was on a steady incline. It was booming, and there was the construction of tens of thousands of homes. During that period, it was standard across the nation to use lead for water service lines. And so you have a legacy that is from the first part of the last century for 60 or 70 years of growth, where the homes are of a certain age and stock where lead was used for all the lead service lines, or all those service lines. In and around 1950, the state created a water authority that landlocked the city of Buffalo. So you cannot sell, by legislative decree, you cannot sell water outside the city. And then in and about 1950, due to changes in our economy, as you know, the population started declining. And so leading up to World War II and just after it is huge population boom, water authority was formed, and then the population started leaving. If you look at the population in 1950, in Erie County, compared to the population today, it's almost the same. The problem is 600,000 people lived in the city in 1950, and now we only have 250,000 or 275,000. And a commensurate increase has happened in Erie County. Your contemporaries, such as Cleveland and Detroit and Columbus and other Rust Belt cities on the Great Lakes, they don't have a surrounding authority. And many of them actually sell wholesale or even retail outside of the city and can thereby spread the burden of lead service line replacements over a much larger population. What we seem to have found, looking nationally, is that Buffalo is uniquely burdened across the whole nation, given some of these historic trends and the legacy that we're dealing with. So we don't know exactly where this goes, but you need to make a case that this is, an inequitable burden for the city of Buffalo to bear. And if there is any funding available, it really should go to cities such as Buffalo, where you really don't have the ability to share that cost over large populations for reasons that were beyond any of our control. So a lot more discussion there. We have a deadline of November 1st, 2027, at which time you need to submit a plan for your lead service line program. So we have a little over a year. You have to submit a strategic plan, which will be made public, and that will go to the health department and the EPA. And it needs to disclose how you plan to replace all the lead. That's the federal law. And how you're going to fund it, and how you're going to prioritize it, and a whole bunch of other things. So a lot of discussion in the background about the merits of this, and how the city can grapple with it. So Brian, I don't know if you have any comments.
No, that's a good summary.
Okay. The last thing I'll mention is that you, board, have been, in my opinion, really supportive of the operation here, and particularly the staff. It hasn't always seemed to have that same level of involvement. So it's very much appreciated that some of you individually have attended meetings with the commissioner and staff and other things. And there is a concern and maybe a growing awareness that hiring, retaining, attracting staff is very difficult. So behind the scenes, we have been assisting Peter and Fuad and some other people looking at your contemporaries, what they do and what they pay, so that you all can build a case moving forward of what you can or cannot, or what you should do about some of those issues. Again, close coordination with the administration and the city would be required because the staff are city employees. So it's a complex, layered organization, but I appreciate your investment of time and your interest on that. So we've been trying to help behind the scenes gather data from, other communities, and indeed, as we expected, very markedly, and maybe I shouldn't say this publicly, but very markedly, your compensation and the like is not keeping up with the industry. So there is some work that I know you've taken on and we want to do, so I'm optimistic, I'll say. So that's my report. A lot of other things are going on.
I'll segue off of that, Stephen. Yeah, I mean, I'll say it publicly, our staff's underpaid. And it's really difficult to, as Stephen said, not only, recruit folks, but keep them, retain them. And we're really handcuffed. I mean, I've had several conversations, and I think, the folks in the administration are supportive, but, there's areas where they're handcuffed as well. So, I mean, it's a continuing discussion. How we get there is there's folks looking at that, especially, Deputy Mayor Swanenkamp is actively engaged. And he's on the Sewer Authority Board, which again, we all know is a separate independent authority, has the ability to pay same type of positions, same type of titles, pay more. And they have the ability to retain those folks. I mean, it's happening where they're, folks are leaving the water board to go over to sewer because of the opportunity on the pay side. So it's definitely a hindrance on us, and it's got to be addressed soon.
Stephen, anything else?
That's it, thank you.
All right, thanks. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to item number 14, the monthly report from Veolia. David?
Yes, sir. Thank you. David Hill, Veolia Project Manager. To reiterate, a lot of crucial work going on, and Veolia is looking forward to working with everybody on the lead copper and obviously the staffing challenges. They are top priorities for us. From the affordability, I want to give you a glimpse of what our affordability programs are doing real quick over the last month. Our residential affordable water program continues to see increase in numbers. We now have 2,343 customers enrolled, an increase in 66 over the past month. The payment plans continue to pick up. Promise Pay looks like they increased by 31 this month. Buffalo Water payment plans, we increased by 376. So customers are coming in and still, they've heard the message, they're coming in and they're making arrangements prior to being shut off oftentimes. Hats off to everybody. This has been a collective effort, and not only is it important to get the money, but I'll reiterate it again. We're doing it with dignity and respect. We work just as hard to restore folks' water as we do to turn it off. And we do have measures where we can work with those in need and keep them in service. So, thank you. Doug, I want to turn it over to you for any major projects going on. I know we have 4 pages of ongoing work in the board report. Now, I'm not going to go through that bullet by bullet.
Yeah, I just think the major ones right now, Mass Ave pump station, that's a tremendous investment by the board. That'll give us the redundancy we need from a high service pumping standpoint. But I think the board report outlines all the work that we're doing, not to get into some of the details, but Damon, if you want to just highlight on the finances as to where we ended up for the contract here, that'd be great.
Okay, great. Damon Sykes, Veolia, let me give you an annual report. Buffalo Water had a very good year. We were, again, expecting the $59.2 million budget. You know that number, you watched it all year long as we approached that number. And we exceeded it, the $60.2 million, over almost $1 million of revenue over the top of the budget. 2 things really happened. Number one, we got a rate increase on October 1st. 2025, that started to close that gap, that $25 million gap that we had coming into the month, or coming into the year. So really, we're completely exposed in July, August, September. We had a rate increase and we didn't do the turn-off program. So that was the first thing we did. The second thing the board did was they implemented, even back in January, we implemented a second reminder and a past due reminder. We did that. We started seeing some traction. Even in January, February, the board asked us to go out there and start issuing those letters. Okay. Then by March, we followed up with those termination letters with the actual physical turnoff. And then we really started to close that gap. And you can see these numbers here towards the last 3 months of the year, 5.7, 5.7, $5.6 million in revenue. And we'll come back to those numbers at the end of the report. Okay, Connor, go ahead and use the next page. The next thing that's extremely important is the number right here, 60 million. That shows us how much we filled out. So I have in front of us our rate case for October 1st, 2025. The rates that our rate consultant and GHD, they have to build a rate case surrounding the number in which we are trying to achieve. We are trying to achieve 59 million. You have to build a case around how do you get that number with this. And that was it, and we achieved that with that. So the rate case worked and it made that number for us, which you never get totally 100% of the revenue. So here we are at 98%, but we still needed a turn-off program to elevate that number to get us to 60 million. So it's really both. You have to have a rate case, and in this case, we had to do the turn-offs because we weren't doing turn-offs for the last 6 years. Everything else fell into place. The 11% increase from 1 year to the next, that's our rate increase. We had, of course, the revenue increase. We went from 51 million up to $60 million from last year. So it was a really good year. Okay, Connie, let's get to the next one. Okay, so here's another thing. Remember, on your accounts receivable, we bill out every month. We do at least $4 million of billing. So the accounts receivable actually went down by 1.6 million. So that basically said we billed out 4 million, we got the 4 million, and we got 1.6 million in addition because of the turn-off program. So that's a really good sign that we're getting the revenues which we're looking for. That's a good sign, 28.8. Okay, Connor. There's the $28.8 million again on an aging report. Okay, where does that $28.8 million sit? It sits again at the 1 year or older, because all those people haven't been paying us. That's where the bucket from going on to future is where we're going to look to increase our revenues. Is from that bucket, that $16 million bucket here. That's where our potential revenue will come from. Okay, Connor. I just wanted to mention this, and Dave already kind of covered it. You can see here when we started the late notices, the people were on payment plans, they were calling us in, they wanted to try to rectify their situation with their bills. The turn-off program was here. You can see all the people coming in and making their payment plans. So it's late notices here and then the turn-offs. Okay, Connor. Now, let's talk about this year that started 7 days ago. Our new budget now has gone up to $71 million. Just a straight average, we're gonna need to do $5.9 million a month. When I first mentioned initially, we made 5.7, 5.7, 5.6 on our best 3 months this past year that just ended. Our goal now is gonna be at least 5.9. So our question will be, will our existing rate structures and our collection efforts make $6 million? So I think Roger and GHD are gonna be looking at that aspect of it, and we'll continue to do with the turnout program. But there's still kind of a gap. I mean, it's going to be a tremendous movement from 60 million to 71. So again, will our existing rate structure and collection efforts make up $6 million a month when our best months were 5.7, 5.7, 5.6? That's your annual report. Any questions?
Yeah, the 70 million figure, how did we get there?
The 70 million?
Yeah.
That's come down to us from Bill Ferguson in his department.
That actually includes what my proposal had was this 11% increase. So.
Which isn't fully needed because of this.
Because of everything
elections
else.
efforts, right.
This year it wasn't needed.
Yeah, well, we hope to continue this.
Right. Again, we have about $16 million bucket we can work from, but this is it's gonna be difficult. Again, 5.7 was our best month, and we did that 3 months in a row. We really need about 5.9 to do it, to hit our new budget numbers. So we'll have to, Obviously, run those numbers up like what.
Well, and that's the thing, is where's that gap? If it's 5.7 to 5.9,
Right.
that's our gap that we might potentially need a rate increase to
Right.
cover that gap.
Right.
But it's not 11%, it might be 2% or whatever. So, and then with the collection of that 16 million, is there really 16 million out there, or is there a lot of that maybe is gonna be written off just because?
Probably gonna be written out. I mean, not
Because-
all of that will be able to get recovered.
Right,
Exactly.
yeah, because a lot of that's probably so old, and there's
So
people
old,
that
right.
have left or we can't find and that kind of stuff, or?
Right, yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
do we have some kind of knowledge of that portion of that 16 million, or people that we just have no clue who owns the property or anything like that, or?
We know who they, yeah, we know, especially when you go up there with a turnoff, where you get an answer. So basically, when you go out there and do a turnoff, you're gonna find out whether the turnoff ends up being nothing, and it ends up being a vacant aborted building.
Right.
Or yet they come in and actually, they're asking for their services
Services
back.
back.
So we'll know. And that's why it's so important to keep up with the turnoff program, just for knowledge and to keep, to figure out what your base is.
And to that point, I mean, do we know that amount and the dollars? That is retrievable.
Half, yeah, it would be half, let's just say half,
I was gonna
half,
say half.
8 million of the 16 million would probably be, we can recover it. So maybe 5.7 is our best we can do with what we're doing right now, so you're gonna have to make up the gap between 5.7
And
and
that's
5.9.
16, does that include commercial?
It's everything, yeah,
It's everything?
it's everything, right?
Can I ask, how it's going with those commercial buildings that owed us all that money? Have they caught up? Have they done anything? I mean, I know apartments and so on, you can't shut. What about the actual businesses that have owed us quite a chunk of money?
I provided Bill Sunderland a list of those, and a lot of those are downtown here in the city, and I don't know if it would be politically wise to do that.
Well,
Or the optics of that, to do that, to turn those businesses off, I mean, they're storefronts.
okay, but in the meantime, they owe us a ton of money, so we're,
Well, I think we can take a look at.
It would be difficult to turn those off, I believe. I mean, we had the US Postal Service down on South Buffalo not paying their water bill. They had a $17,000 water bill. We didn't decide not to turn them off. I just made a visit down there and they're gonna pay us for that. So we need to probably do stuff more like that than to actually physically turn.
because that's
them
why
off.
I'm asking, is there a plan to go personally visit them?
I can personally visit,
It's
yeah.
on the ground.
That's what we're doing,
Okay.
yeah. But to
Right.
turn that off, I mean, I know that the military park owes us a lot of money.
Right.
I think I passed that information off to, we didn't turn the water off on that.
Well, right now, our current policy is $1,000, 360 days.
Right now, it's 2,500. So we have that bucket, yes, that's a good point. We can lower that threshold down to $1,000, but right now it's
Can we lower
2,000.
that threshold?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can Mike's
No,
leave-
can we
Mike's
go
leave
back to that?
support
When did it become 2,500?
Oh,
The policy we adopted was 1,000 in 12 months.
$1,000 was to notify, those are the ones we decided to identify as the ones who were most, at $1,000 was just a year's off. We decided to do
Just a year.
2,500 because it kind of closed the gap, because there were so many of those we need to capture first. Because it's gonna be really the first go around.
Well, hey, and listen, I understand, let's go after the higher, value
Right.
customers that are in arrears, but, the criteria that we adopted as a board, from my recollection, was $1,000, 12 months. And that's something I'm gonna probably, well, I'm not gonna probably, I would like to see if we can get a breakdown of those the commercial accounts. Because that's, I'm sure, a higher number probably than residential. Is that accurate?
No, most of your residential customers are excellent paying customers. You're not gonna get the bang for your buck is other than the fact you wanna stay with your residential customers, because that's where the money lies. It's not with your commercial accounts.
I'm just asking, I'd like a
It's
value
not
of the
mentioned
number
below
of
that
arrears,
that's been
the
sold.
amount of arrears on the commercial customer side.
It's nothing near what we have on the residential side.
so the residential side
It's
owes
where-
more
yes.
than, okay,
Far and away.
including those landlords that owe multi-units, what,
Absolutely,
and have we made an approach to them as well? I know you have, and you've tried everything.
right.
Any satisfaction from that? Is there, if not, what do we need to do as a board to assist, or what is the proposal to get them to pay?
Just turn them off.
But we're saying we can't turn them off because it's a
Well,
multi-unit.
it's multi-unit, 40 unit, but
Right.
you have properties owners out there who own 25 residential,
Absolutely.
one unit residential buildings. And those are the ones we're turning off.
Okay.
But
And we-
I don't wanna leave anybody, I wanna make sure it's perfectly clear. The residential, the commercial properties are not where all the money is.
Right, I'm understanding that.
Residential properties.
I still have a problem with them owing money, but I
Right,
understand what
yeah.
you're saying. I don't think that they're any different than a resident who has to pay. They should be paying as well, and I get what you're saying, and I understand it. I'm just
But it's
asking.
very easy for us to turn off, and I know how hard it is, but it's very easy to turn off a residential
Sure.
customer who hasn't paid us in 6 years,
Right.
rather than turning off a residential property, or I'm sorry, commercial property,
Right.
if you can get a lot of bad publicity.
Right,
Turn off the
gotcha.
post office, we turn off.
But listen, that's up to us to deal with.
That's up to you, I know, but we
Okay.
make those decisions.
And the whole, I mean, to say, it's harder to turn off, or it's easier to turn off residential versus, commercial, I don't know if that's the case. And I recall a list that we were provided before we even adopted this program of the commercial side, industrial side, and it was significant. I'm talking, well over 15 mil. That, it was several entities. Some like listen, BMHA, there's an old agreement that, we're not gonna get that, right? I discovered that. However, there's a lot of commercial accounts that, are, arrears is significant. And again, the 6 years, we're not going back 6 years on residential. We're not going back 6 years on commercial either, from my understanding. I mean, based on the policy we adopted?
I can lend some insight.
Yeah,
if
please.
it's okay. So in terms of the policy, the formal policy that you adopted is the $1,000 in arrears and a 1 year in HDAC, okay? For practical reasons, I believe, the team is implementing a higher threshold, I believe, because there's just so many.
Yeah,
Right, so there's a
Right,
focus.
and we're facing a labor component of
Right.
this, where we
Yeah, yeah.
can't do what we want to do.
Just, again, just
And
so we're.
David, I get coming from
Yeah,
top down.
but it's
I get that.
happening.
I get that.
We
Yeah,
can't do.
So,
Yeah.
so there's practical realities which we discussed, and so I don't think there's anything wrong per se they're doing, or,
No, no, at all,
No,
not at
absolutely
all.
not. I think
just
that
so
they've
you
done a great
understand,
job.
your policy was, as you understood, the practical reality on the ground is that's just overwhelming, right?
Right,
So there's-
and that's why, I mean, we gave you guys the ability to maneuver, on a lot of
But-
fronts.
On that policy, the reminder notices are going out, right? It's just you can't follow up and turn up.
Right.
With regard to the top debtors, I think it would be easy enough to produce that list again.
Yeah.
And just review it. I agree with Damon and Viola's approach that there are some practical kind of issues turning off certain services, and they do deserve a more personal involved approach, but that's time consuming as well. That's a lot of work. But the board, you should have visibility on that and
Yeah.
make your decisions.
And Damon, on that commercial side, there might be a customer that's in significant arrears, that there might be a relationship from a board member's, perspective, that they can help, with that contact and that personal approach.
I'd just like to back up and say you guys have done a great job since we brought this all out and talked about it. I just was wondering where we were at with it. And, from where we started, and I started, to where we are now. Kudos to you guys, congratulations, because otherwise we'd be nowhere. We'd be in the same thing it was when I started with this. So,
That budget, and we'd be doing a rating.
yes.
I'd like to
So we
say
mitigated that.
a few
So-
comments. We're looking at this revenue collection as a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Right.
We're in shape. We're ready to run it. We're in the first 6 miles of it. It's gonna take us a few years to get through it. We know who owes us.
Yeah.
We must be very cautious on how we retrieve that, because it could hurt the utilities
Sure.
brand. It could hurt people's health. Litigation wise, we could wind up in a lawsuit. We're going what we can get easy. Finding the apples there. It's gonna get more difficult. We're gonna need
As
more
you
labor.
right.
We gotta be smarter about it. Doug's put together a plan, you probably had 20 items on the revenue capture plan. Right now, we're maybe 3 or 4 into them. A lot of them are labor components. We can't do what we want to do. So we're ready, and we're gonna work our tails off in the next few years on implementing all these ideas.
Yeah.
But I'm bullish, we're bullish on what we can do as far as revenue collection. This is not a one-off. We're gonna continue to keep a full court press.
And again, it's not this board's, it was never our intention to have people's water shut off. This was a way to, get people on point to pay for the service that they're provided. Some of it, because they're not even gonna be paying for all of it that they're providing. This utility cannot sustain itself with, 50 or 48% of the customers paying for 100% of the system. It's just never going to last. And it shouldn't have been done that way in the past, and we can't do it that way moving forward. Totally appreciate everything that you guys have done. I mean, it's been a very short time, and, $6 million that's not, that's a lot of revenue that was collected. And totally appreciate what you guys have done.
Right, I'd like to say, we have these commercial accounts and we have property managers and they buy and they sell and they gotta keep the money fluid. I'd like to not turn on any new accounts if they owe us money on old accounts somewhere else.
Yeah, part of one of the revenue capture initiatives we had is based around property transfers. That's where the money gets exchanged, and that's when things can get true. Exactly. So that's definitely identified. We need to work with, I don't know how that works in the background, but that has definitely been identified as an option.
I give them services, those money on other accounts.
And the larger, units that we haven't touched so far, we need to work with some lawyers and be smart about it and make certain we communicate properly. It's not that they can't be touched, just must do it in the proper manner.
Just to add some context around what Stephen had said about being like the practical approach. We went from 25 to 35 turnoffs a day. We're trying to get the best value for the efforts of the distribution team, so that's why we're going after the higher value accounts. The next wave, we're gonna start drilling that number down to get to that lower threshold.
The other utilities won't give you service if you owe money on a past account, so.
Just to be clear, we do turn off commercial accounts, meaning restaurants, certain things. We're not turning off apartment buildings.
No, I
But
understand.
I don't know that we're going after like big companies.
Industrial.
Exactly. So if it's in our route, we're hitting it. But it's a lot of the apartment buildings that really owe the money that just.
We can't, hands are tied.
Right, gotcha.
And they know that.
Thank you. Yeah, of course they know it. Okay,
Anything else?
Thank you.
thank you.
So before we adjourn, the coordination meeting will be Wednesday, August 5th, and the board meeting will be Wednesday, August 12th. Connor will send out, obviously, meeting notifications for both. We'll need, before the August 12th meeting, just everybody confirm to Connor that they will be in attendance, so we have quorum. And with that being said, is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
And just one more thing, and I'll circulate to the group, the stuff for the authority, the mission statement and the performance measures, just so we can nail that down before the next meeting and move that forward.
Motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Lombardo.
Like second.
Been properly moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, board.
Sure.